Hi, my name is Rachel. I'm 34 years old and I want to tell you a story. But before I begin, let me warn you. This isn't just a story about sadness or struggle. This is a story about survival, about miracles, and about love in the most unexpected places. If you listen for just a few minutes, I promise you'll want to stay until the end. Because what happened to me and my daughters will remind you that no matter how dark life feels, the light can still find you. I am a mother of 3 beautiful girls, Hannah, Lucy, and Emma. They are my whole world. Every breath I take is for them. And maybe that's why I've endured as much as I have, because giving up would mean giving up on them, and that was never an option. But I need to take you back to where everything started, so you understand how heavy my life felt before everything changed. When I was 9 years old, my mother died. Just like that, gone. At 9, you don't fully understand death, but you understand loneliness. My grandmother took me in after that. She was kind, but she was old, fragile, and tired. She did her best, and I loved her deeply. But when I was 16, she passed away too. I remember sitting in that quiet house, staring at her empty chair, feeling like the whole world had abandoned me. I didn't know then that this pattern, loss after loss, would keep following me. At 19, I met a man who seemed like everything I've been missing. He was funny. He was sweet. He said all the right things, and for a girl who had spent her whole life without a family, I clung to him like he was my safe place. We married quickly, too quickly. But at the time it felt like love. At 20, I gave birth to Hannah. Holding her was the first time I truly understood unconditional love. Then came Lucy, with her bright eyes and contagious laugh. And then Emma, my little baby girl. I thought our family was complete. I thought maybe, just maybe, life was finally giving me something good. But when Emma was still a baby, my husband left us. No note, no call, no explanation. One day he was there, and the next he was gone like we never existed. He never sent money. He never asked about his daughters. He vanished, leaving me alone with 3 little girls and no support. I tried not to break down in front of them. But the truth is, I broke down inside every single day. We lived in a tiny apartment in a broken building with thin walls and a weak heater. Every month I scrambled to pay rent. Every month I worried the lights would go out. I didn't have a college degree. I didn't have a good job. So I rented a car each month to work as a taxi driver. The car rental took most of what I earned. Gas took more. What little remained went to food, clothes, and bills. Sometimes I drove sick. Sometimes I drove through freezing rain. Sometimes I drove when I wanted nothing more than to curl up and cry. But I had no choice. When I came home late at night, my daughters would already be asleep. I would sit beside their beds, look at their peaceful little faces, kiss their foreheads, and whisper, "I love you. One day, things will be better." It was a promise I repeated every night, even when I didn't believe it. And then came the night that changed everything. The sky was black, the wind was howling, and the rain was coming down in sheets. I picked up my daughters from school. Hannah sat in the front seat, Lucy and Emma in the back. "Mom, I'm cold," Emma whispered in her tiny 5-year-old voice. "I know, sweetie," I said. "We'll be home soon." I turned the heater on, but the car stayed icy. The roads were wet, shiny, dangerous. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, my knuckles white. My heart was pounding. Then it happened. A flash of light. The screech of tires. A deafening crash. And then, darkness. When I opened my eyes, I was staring at a white ceiling. Beeping sounds surrounded me. The sharp smell of medicine filled the air. I was in a hospital. My whole body ached. The first thought that exploded in my mind was, my daughters. I tried to sit up, but pain shot through my leg. My voice was weak, but I whispered their names, Hannah, Lucy, Emma. A nurse appeared. She pressed my hand gently. Don't move too much, she said softly. You were in an accident. My daughters, I croaked. Where are they? They're safe, she said, her eyes kind. A few minutes later, the door opened, and 3 little girls ran in, crying, shouting, Mama! They clung to me, kissed me, sobbed into my gown. I held them as tightly as I could, tears streaming down my face. The doctor came in. His expression was serious. You have a broken leg, he said. You need surgery. You need rest. But all I could think was, I can't rest. I can't stop working. Rent, bills, food. Then another blow hit me. The car I had rented for work was destroyed. Worse, apparently I had hit an expensive car. The owner demanded $20,000 in damages. I had nothing. No savings. No one to turn to. Nothing. I broke down completely. I cried in front of my girls, unable to hide my despair. They hugged me, their little faces wet with tears. I had always tried to be strong for them. But in that moment, I felt utterly defeated. The next morning, something strange happened. A nurse came into the room holding a newspaper. She handed it to me. On the front page was a picture of me and my daughters. Your story is online, she said. People are reading it. People are talking about it. What story? I asked, confused. Someone shared what happened to you. They say you are brave. They want to help. At first I didn't believe it. Why would strangers care about me? But then, little by little, money started arriving. Not much at first, but enough for warm meals, clean clothes, rent for that month. For the first time in years, I felt like maybe the world wasn't against me, and then a phone call changed everything. A deep male voice on the other end said, I saw your story. I want to help you. Who are you? I asked, cautious. You'll see soon, he replied. 2 days later, people arrived at the hospital. They brought flowers, toys, clothes for my girls. They filled the room with color and warmth. And then, a young man walked in. He had kind eyes. A quiet presence. He looked at me and smiled. You don't know me, he said. But I know you. Why? I asked. Why do you want to help me? He held my gaze. Because I can. Those 3 words broke me. I started crying, overwhelmed. He sat by my bed. Your story touched me. You didn't beg. You didn't ask for anything. You just kept fighting for your girls. That kind of strength deserves to be supported. I didn't know what to say. For years I had suffered in silence. For years I thought no one noticed. But here was someone who noticed. His name was Daniel Dodd, and that day Daniel and his team paid my hospital bills. Every cent. I no longer owed anything. For the first time in forever, I could breathe. But that was only the beginning. 2 weeks later, when I was discharged, Daniel met us again. My leg was still healing, so I walked slowly with a cane. My daughters clung to my hands, excited to go home. But instead of driving us to our apartment, Daniel's car turned into a part of the city I had never seen before. Clean streets. Big houses. Trees wrapped in lights. We stopped in front of a beautiful house with a red door and a garden full of yellow flowers. Where are we? I asked. Daniel smiled. This is your new home. I stared at him. My heart raced. What? No. I don't understand. For months, people online donated. My team added more. Now this house belongs to you. No rent, no debt. It's yours. I dropped to my knees and sobbed. My daughters hugged me, crying too. Inside, every room was filled with warmth. Beds for each of the girls. Blankets, toys, books. The kitchen stocked with food. A photo of us framed on the wall. That night, I tucked my daughters into their new beds. I kissed their foreheads and whispered, I love you. For the first time in years, I slept without fear. But Daniel wasn't finished. The next morning, over tea, he asked me, Rachel, what's your dream? I was stunned. No one had asked me that in years. Slowly I said, I want to open a small supermarket. A place with fresh food, good bread. A place where people feel welcome, he smiled. Then let's make it happen. And 2 months later it did. We opened a little store. Fruits, vegetables, bread, milk, cheese. Even a corner for tea and coffee. My daughters helped Hannah with the money, Lucy stacking bread, Emma handing out candies to children. The store gave us freedom, gave us dignity, and Daniel visited often. One evening, as the girls laughed in the backyard, I asked him, "Why me?" He looked down, then into my eyes. Because I lost my mother young. I know the pain. I never forgot it. Helping you helps me too. My heart ached. For the first time, I saw not just kindness in him, but a loneliness that matched mine. That night, as he left, I felt something stir inside me. Something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Months passed. The girls thrived. Our store grew. Daniel became a constant in our lives. He was there for birthdays, school plays, quiet dinners. At first, he was just a helper. Then, a friend. But slowly, something more. There were moments, small ones, that built tension between us. A glance that lingered too long. A hand brushing mine as we carried boxes. A pausing conversation where silence said more than words. There were also near misses. Times when I thought he might confess his feelings, only for him to pull back. Times when I wanted to say something, only for fear to choke me. But the tension grew undeniable. One evening, after closing the store, we stood outside under the streetlight. The air was cool, the stars faint above us. He looked at me, his eyes soft. "Rachel," he whispered, "you've carried the world on your shoulders for so long. You don't have to anymore." Tears filled my eyes. My voice shook. "I don't know how to let someone carry it with me." He stepped closer. "Then let me show you," and for the first time in years, I allowed myself to believe in love again. Now, every morning, I wake up in a home filled with laughter. I open the door of our store with pride. I watch my daughters smile and grow. I look at Daniel, and I know we are not broken anymore. We started with nothing. Now we have everything that truly matters: love, safety, and hope. This is not just my story. It is ours.